Hey, travelers. I'm gonna have to take you through a timeline so that all the pieces kind of fall into place for you. Because the last 20 years, I've been all over the place. A lot of my videos, when I'm talking about me doing Valley Tudo, no holds barred, backyard bare knuckle boxing matches, a lot of this happened before I joined the military. That's when I was razor sharp. 9/11 happens and I'm still in college. This is when all the special operators were sent to Afghanistan. This is where most of the Green Berets and Delta guys would get their experience and things like this. The reason I get so upset about military vet bros and military operators with influencers with these channels and shit retired is because they lie. The majority of their work that they did was in Afghanistan. Now, by the time I graduated college, joined the military, went down the special operator pipeline, now it was time for the invasion of Iraq. And I can tell you that these guys were not kicking doors. These guys were not doing the Rambo shit that some of them claim, which is false valor because they're profiting off of it, writing books. They've got their channels and they tell these bullshit stories. There were no Delta guys kicking fucking doors. You were counter snipers, counter sniper teams, and you were looking through glass, calling in airstrikes. It was the Marines and it was the paratroopers. Okay, and this is why I get so upset. Because these guys, they're lying to you. They're making themselves out to be something they're not. Now, for the ones who don't, awesome. Respect. But there's too many that are. And this is why they piss me off. So, I do my tours in Iraq. And I'm still in the military at this point. And this movie's coming out. V for Vendetta. And if you order ahead of time, you got a special copy of the DVD, which came with a mask, a V for Vendetta mask. It was at this time I began realizing that 9/11 was an inside job. I began exploring who got us into this war, Netanyahu. And I began to realize that I had been lied to, I had been betrayed. And a lot of my experiences in Iraq made sense now. I'm having a cheap beer while we talk. There was this one time where there's a show called The Shooter. It was originally a movie, but then they made a show, The Shooter, with Ryan Phillippe, I think that's the correct actor. But there's a whole season dedicated to a guy called the Chechen Sniper. We hunted the Chechen Sniper. Delta counter sniper teams hunted the Chechen Sniper. And there was one night, right when we got into theater, like within the first 2 weeks, we pursued the Chechen Sniper and we into a parking garage, and this parking deck went up several levels, and we held the perimeter while Delta guys went in to go get him. And then just as we think the operation, that mission is a success, it's coming to a close and we're about to roll out, this guy wearing aviator glasses, it's nighttime by the way, this guy wearing fucking aviator glasses and a fishing vest It wasn't like a tactical vest, it was like a fishing vest, or a vest like old school reporters use when they go into like conflict zones and shit. It was like a khaki vest. I think he might have been wearing khakis too. I can't remember, maybe jeans, but clearly this guy was somebody, and he was talking to our colonel. And when he finished talking to our colonel was like, all right guys, let's go wrap it up. And we rolled out. Then I hear this guy, this Chechen sniper, is still killing Americans throughout the deployment. I'm like, that ain't right, bro. Like, we got him, right? Whoever that guy was in the vest, he was intelligence community. And it was a catch and release. Okay? And I noticed that trend. There was another guy related to, I think he was related to Saddam Hussein, but they say the 101st Airborne and the Navy SEALs shot up his home and killed him. Well, they had already gotten him months before, and he magically disappeared. And I was like, well, who did they just fucking kill? Right? So it became apparent to me that when it came to high value targets, we were doing a catch and release. So when I come home, I decide I'm going to whistleblow this. The American public deserves to know that we're not actually fighting to win this war. We're just fighting a war seemingly for its own sake, because at that point in time, I hadn't understood the connections of big money and billionaires and defense contracts. I didn't understand that Dick Cheney's company was Halliburton and the one providing all the facilities while we were over there. I hadn't made that connection yet. So I decided I'm going to whistleblow and tell the American citizens that our government, or the deep state, the intelligence community, is catching and releasing high value targets at the expense of American lives. I end up putting on the V for Vendetta mask, and I did the first video. It was, I think, 2004. I did the first video online wearing a V for Vendetta mask. Before I stopped, I think I did 4 videos talking about what really goes on in Iraq. And then I noticed other people started doing videos wearing the mask. And at first I thought, they're inspired. This is good. And so my last video I did was talking about anonymity and how being anonymous is your protection. Never network, never connect with other people. Just have one singular mission to expose corruption, and everybody drive that mission. Don't ever connect. Weird shit started happening. People looking into me, my financial, like the bank I was with, having issues with them. Like, weird shit started happening, and I had no idea what was going on. I didn't understand the intelligence community at the time. I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew that if I pursued this path, it would get worse for me. And so I followed my own advice with anonymity, and I stopped. And it would be within the next couple years where I was transitioning into the private sector. And by now, a lot of people are popping up claiming to be anonymous. I get into the private sector, and at first it started out as being a protection specialist and getting this training for this unique skill set, because being a protector is very different than being a soldier. If you have to use what we call hard skills, then you've already failed as a protector. Like, the soft skills are what keep you from ever having to use the hard skills. And so I had to learn the soft skills. I also had to learn to be a better business person, which I'm terrible at. Always have been, because I don't care about money. I don't care about these things, right? This leads into me becoming an analyst in the private sector, an intelligence analyst for a think tank. A think tank that actually guided the whole COVID situation. And now, by now, anonymous has become this symbol. And in my brain, knowing what I knew then, I thought, well, this is great. People are taking the advice, be anonymous and don't connect, don't network. Well, then this whole thing comes down where they end up getting arrested, young kids getting arrested who are doing anonymous, and they're legit hackers. I was never anything. I don't know how to do that shit. I can barely remember my email password, right? I wanted other people of all fields to come together anonymously and contribute to exposing corruption. Well, this group of young hackers who truly did believe in the message and the mission end up getting arrested because they decide they're going to meet up. And when they meet up, all it took was cracking the weak link, and then the intelligence community identified the whole group, and they pressured them and threatened them, and one or two broke, exposed the whole group, and it became this whole thing. Now, from that point on, Anonymous has been nothing but the intelligence community. You'll find channels on YouTube, official, Anonymous official, and all this shit. It's the NSA, bro. It's actually not just the NSA, but the NSA led into that. I believe that's who was fucking with me, which caused me to walk away. You should always be able to walk away. Just as quickly as you walked your ass into it, you should be able to get your ass out. Always have an exit, man. Well, they fucked up. And I think that there's a whole documentary on them fucking up. And they'll tell you, like, it's all intelligence community now. So be careful. During COVID lockdowns, we're fast forwarding. During COVID lockdowns, Pizzagate, now we're under Trump first term, where everybody thinks Trump did a great thing. He didn't. Operation Warp Speed. He poisoned all of us with vaccines that weren't tested. Take their guns and ask questions later. Like, this dude has been terrible from the go. He's never had a successful endeavor in his life. Not his first term, clearly not the second term, but even his fucking careers in private life has been failure after failure after failure. So I've never trusted Trump, man. And QAnon pops up, Pizzagate's popping up, and I'm looking into Pizzagate, and I'm like, because now, even though I'm no longer in the private sector, the think tank that I worked for, that I took contracts from, led an exercise that told, basically it was a layout for the pandemic. It was a layout for how nations should react to this. And they did a whole thing, and it was a month before the lockdowns. And when I saw that, I said, no way, dude. No fucking way, dude. They're not gonna do this. This is global, bro. Like, it's not even a 9/11 where it's just Americans. Like, they're doing this globally. And I just couldn't believe it. So I'm like, I need to pay attention. And I started warning everybody there's going to be lockdowns, because at that time I was working on a Marine base in Camp Lejeune as a contractor. And I saw all the Marines. I know what a deployment looks like, a pre-deployment, okay? And I saw all the Marines acting funny. I started seeing foreign troops coming to train with them, and I was like, Okay, there's going to be lockdowns. Nobody believed me, of course. Then there was lockdowns. Okay. Now it's putting me back in researcher mode. Now this is global. This is a crime against humanity. COVID. Oh, you're silly. It existed. Yeah, it did, but it wasn't weaponized. But since even, I say the early 90s, but some say even the late 70s, they were working on how to weaponize COVID, okay? Look into it. And I just couldn't believe they did it. This was a crime against humanity. Trump was a part of it. Epstein was a part of it. Bill Gates was a part of it. And so I'm seeing all these connections. And then Pizzagate pops up, and I'm like, I begin looking into that. And I'm like, a lot of this shit is just insane, like crazy shit. But some of it, the real disturbing shit, like, is real. And so I'm trying to sift, I'm trying to validate. And I'm having a hard time, and I'm like, you know what? The only time my job is ever this hard is when there's somebody with more resources than me putting up a smoke screen to make it hard. Now it's coming out. Oh, and I exposed QAnon. I knew it was a counterintelligence disinformation operation. I knew that. But something wasn't sitting with me right, like as if it was an American counterintelligence. Something wasn't sitting right. I kept getting this foreign flavor. And everything kind of was pointing to Russia. And then Trump started having this Russiagate scandal. Now, if you fast forward to now that whistleblower that Tulsi Gabbard was blocking, who claimed that there is a Russian asset close to Trump that needs to be exposed, and she's blocking it, now that makes sense. That, you know, they said Jared Kushner, right? Now it's beginning to make sense, right? Now these dots are really connecting, and the same people are popping up. I'm like, I started telling people, QAnon is a fucking psyop, dude. This is a foreign intelligence team that's playing games with you, man. And they're making Trump out to be this fucking hero, and Trump is one of the villains. He's not the villain, but he's one of the villains. And they're making him out to be this hero. Then Trump comes out, and this was the icing on the cake for me. Trump comes out and says, oh yeah, I know who Anonymous is. Oh, we've known who Anonymous is. I know who it is. Yeah. And then they name this other guy who's, no. It's all bullshit. But now the truth of Pizzagate is coming out. It was a trafficking operation. But all the crazy shit that they flooded to confuse you, to overwhelm you, and to discredit the actual truth, the actual, what was actually going on there, they flooded all this nonsense in, which is a common tactic in the intelligence community. So if you want to know who created Anonymous, the first person to put the video on the internet, it was me. And that's why I go by the V for Victor. Victor's my name, but V, I just find it a cute little thing because I prefer to go by V. Because of V for Vendetta. And it makes perfect sense. It started me on the road to becoming an intelligence contract, to understand who was fucking with me, what's going on. You know, and it put a fire in my heart to expose corruption. And then I think it took off in a natural, organic way with other people who believed in those videos doing their own, and they could do it anonymously, and everything was cool. Then it got hijacked. What did they do, man? Think for yourself. What do they do? If they can't beat something, what do? They hijack it. Yes? They hijack any operation, any organization. They infiltrate it and they hijack it. And that's what they did with Anonymous. And then they created this QAnon, which was a complete counterintelligence operation to make you look ridiculous for looking into Pizzagate and looking into Wayfair. And these were legit. They should have been investigated, seriously. Oh, Donald Trump is the hero. Donald Trump is gonna save us from all the elites and these disgusting oligarchs and all these pedophiles. It's terrible, it's terrible. Trump's gonna save us. Best thing since Jesus Christ. And there's Navy SEALs and Delta undercover, like breaking doing operations. Bull fucking shit. You want to know how much Delta and all these motherfuckers care? They had a whole nonprofit organization built about rescuing Ukrainian fucking trafficked girls and children. And when I had a serious intelligence product put before me by a former law enforcement officer who was concerned about a woman in Ukraine, a young woman who had been pimped out allegedly since she was young, and he gave me this whole product, and then I submit it to this organization, I could hear fucking crickets. All of a sudden they're not there, and they don't answer the phone, and this is the wrong number. So then I reach out to a Green Beret who's always talking about Ukraine, and he went to Ukraine, and all this shit, and I reach out to him, and then I get this another Green Beret reaches out to me and goes, hey brother, Ukraine has hit teams working out of Langley, right? Like, you need to be careful. And I'm like, that's what this is. So it's not that it's a bad product, it's that you're all fucking pussies. Like, you make money off these nonprofit groups and your private military contracting group, and you make money off of these channels talking about Ukraine and trafficking and all that, but when it comes down to actually putting your ass on the line to do it, you're a pussy, you won't do it. I said, okay, I get it. And then again, I start getting pressure, financial weird shit happening with my bank account and charges. I started getting voicemails where somebody was using AI, using my voice to threaten me. Dude, the shit is real. Pizzagate's real, Wayfair was real, this shit is real. But you have to understand that the government and then the loyalists, these people, Delta, all these people, all they care about is their fucking careers, man. These retired CIA guys, their whole life, all they cared about was their career. Because if they cared about their integrity, if they cared about telling the truth to the American people, they wouldn't have had a career. Like me, they would have been fucking, you're out, buddy. Or they would have said, you know what, fuck, or like me, like, fuck you guys. You're not playing me, you're not making me look fucking like I'm crazy when you know I'm fucking right, and then you do the wrong shit, and then I wish someone would have told us otherwise. Bitch, fuck you. Okay, like, enough is enough. You think these career guys like Joe Kent, yeah, he was a fucking super spy, yeah, he's badass, but do you think he's on your team when he spent his whole life being a yes man, a company man, and then what, now his integrity matters? Now, Larry Johnson's integrity matters, like Joe Ken, Tulsi guy, like, now they're gonna do the right thing? Fuck you, dude. You had a whole life that you could have did the right thing, but in order to do that, you wouldn't have had a fucking career. I did it. There ain't no excuse you can't do it either. So there you go. I was the founder of Anonymous. Donald Trump doesn't know me. My shit was hijacked. And now it's just fucking counterintelligence playground. Ask the hacker kids that believed in what I was trying to do, and they actually did. All they did was fuck up by violating, ironically, the Anonymous code by linking up. And that was it. That was the end. Okay? So whatever you're seeing on YouTube with Anonymous and all this, it's not real. Do not. And I guarantee you, if you're going on Anonymous's channel and making certain comments, man, I guarantee you're on a fucking list. That's why I tell people not to go to the No Kings protest. Don't go, not because I don't believe in it. Of course I believe in it. But you got to understand that law enforcement is there, not cops, but feds, and they are fucking getting biometric readings of you. They are storing your data in a database, and you are going to be listed as a dissident. And during the Trump's first term, all the protests over George Floyd and all that shit, I told people don't fucking go, man, because they were fucking walking around with a little device about the size of this cell phone. And once you get within a couple feet of someone else's cell phone, this little device copies, it extracts and copies your entire fucking data list, like all your contacts, everything. They'll know who you called this morning. They'll know how many times you've called them in a week. It extracts all that data, and they were using that to go after illegals the first term, Trump's first term. And now they're not even hiding it with this little device. Now they're just holding the phone up and filming you so that they can get your facial biometrics and put in a database. That's why I tell people, that's why I don't go to protests, man. And I tell people, don't fucking do that. There's other ways to go about this. But all you're doing is putting yourself out there as bait. Anyway, I don't want this to be too long. But what's that thing? Good old Jesus said, everything in the dark will come to light, or something like that. Well, there's people out there now, investigators, that are sifting through the bullshit and the valid information when it comes to Pizzagate and Epstein. You know, and for example, remember when they released that list? Oh, you want the Epstein list? We told you it's a hoax. We told you there's nothing there. And then they release all this shit. Elvis is on it. All the people who died before fucking... Anyway, before Epstein was like even a fucking... But like, all these names on it. They're like, you want it? Here you go. They flood you with disinformation to discredit the credible information in the Epstein files. You saw it with that. And that's what they did with the Pizzagate. They flooded it with a bunch of bullshit. QAnon flooded it with a bunch of bullshit. And that's why I called them out. Of course they're my fucking enemy. You ruined what I was trying to do with Anonymous to begin with. Then you try to imitate me after you hijack my shit. Then you try to imitate me with fucking QAnon. No, sir, dude. No, sir, you have now crossed me. And I'm going to expose you. So, there, I hope I laid it out in a chronological manner for you, because I know it's all over the place, but I've been all over the place the last 20 years. And at this point, I just don't care anymore, man. We're at the end. We're rolling towards 2030, and that is not going to be pleasant. And what Israel's doing is not pleasant. Now, America is no different than Israel. We're bombing civilian infrastructure. We don't fucking care. We're rolling towards 2030, and it's not going to be good. And I don't need a mask anymore. I'm just a retired bum trying to explain things so that you don't get confused. I want you to expose these people. I want you to expose the corrupt. I want accountability. But I'm retired, and everything I've ever done has amounted to nothing when it comes to this. But now is a different time, and there are influencers actually making waves, and there are investigators actually doing good work and putting out good products. And no, they ain't working for the government. If you want a way forward, stop voting, stop paying your federal income tax. It's illegal. The District of Columbia, D.C., is not an American entity. It's a foreign entity illegally stealing your taxes so that they can fund this shit. So that they can fund agencies like the NSA and the CIA. They're not protecting you. They're spying on you. They're controlling you. Their attention is not outward, it's inward. Stop funding them. Thanks for your time, travelers. Stay safe out there. Shit's getting wild. Just be you and be real and expose corruption. Because at 2030, you may not have a voice anymore. So use it while you got it. And be smart. Don't be going to these protests giving all your information to the feds. Be smart, man. There's other ways to handle it.